Welcome to Reproductive Biology. Today, we are going to explore one of the most fascinating and fundamental processes in nature, the estrous and menstrual cycles. These biological rhythms are the ultimate clocks that drive mammalian reproduction. Whether you are looking at human family planning, wildlife conservation, or global agriculture, understanding how these cycles work is absolutely essential. Let us dive in and uncover the beautiful, synchronized dance of hormones that makes new life possible. To begin our journey, let us look at the menstrual cycle. Imagine a luxury hotel that prepares its absolute best suite for a highly anticipated VIP guest every single month. The staff brings in fresh flowers and makes the bed perfectly. In the human body, the uterus is that luxury suite, and a fertilized egg is the VIP guest. The menstrual cycle is this exact monthly process of building up a nutrient-rich lining. If the guest does not show up, meaning pregnancy does not occur, the body tears everything down and sheds this lining through bleeding, which we call menstruation. This visible shedding is the defining hallmark of the menstrual cycle. Now that we understand what the menstrual cycle is, let us break down how it actually unfolds over time. The cycle is divided into three main parts. First is the follicular phase, where an egg matures inside the ovary. Next is ovulation, the critical moment when the mature egg is released. Finally, we have the luteal phase, where the uterus actively prepares for a potential implantation. A fascinating and crucial biological fact is that while the first half of the cycle can vary greatly from woman to woman, the luteal phase is almost always exactly 14 days long. This consistency is the key to tracking fertility. This consistency in the luteal phase leads us directly to a simple but powerful mathematical relationship. Because the second half of the cycle is fixed, we can predict exactly when ovulation happens by counting backward. The formula is O equals C minus 14. Here, O represents the day of ovulation, measured from the first day of the cycle. C represents the total length of the menstrual cycle in days, and 14 is the constant length of the luteal phase. Physically, if a woman's total cycle length, C, increases, the day of ovulation, O, is pushed later into the month. However, the time from ovulation to her next period will always remain fixed at 14 days. Before we move on, let us see this formula in action with a concrete example. Sarah has been tracking her health and knows her average total cycle length is exactly 32 days. She wants to find her day of ovulation. We know her cycle length C is 32, and we know we must subtract the constant 14-day luteal phase. We do this because we have to count backward from the expected end of her cycle, not forward from the beginning. By substituting 32 into our equation, we subtract 14 to get 18. This means Sarah ovulates on the 18th day of her cycle. Since sperm can survive for 5 days, her fertile window peaks on day 18, showing why assuming a standard 14-day ovulation is often incorrect. Having explored the human menstrual cycle, let us shift our focus to how the rest of the mammalian world reproduces. Have you ever noticed how female dogs or cats only seem interested in mating at very specific times of the year? This is because they experience the estrous cycle. Unlike the menstrual cycle, if a pregnancy does not occur, the thickened uterine lining is completely reabsorbed by the body, meaning there is no bleeding. Furthermore, this cycle features a brief, distinct phase called estrus, commonly known as being in heat. This is the absolute only time the female is sexually receptive to the male, acting like a neon sign that the body is ready for pregnancy. This brief window of sexual receptivity brings us to an important question. Why does the estrous cycle work this way? The answer lies in survival. The estrous cycle is heavily influenced by environmental factors like daylight and temperature. This strict biological schedule ensures that vulnerable offspring are only born during favorable seasons, when food is plentiful and weather is mild. Because animals only spend precious energy on mating when conditions are perfect, understanding this cycle is the fundamental biological basis of animal husbandry, veterinary medicine, and wildlife conservation. Without this knowledge, we could not sustain global agriculture or save endangered species. Because these cycles dictate agricultural production, we need a way to measure them over time. This brings us to the formula for annual reproductive opportunities. The formula is N equals 365 divided by L. Conceptually, this simply divides the total days in a year by the length of a single cycle. Here, N represents the maximum number of estrous cycles an animal can have in a single non-leap year. L represents the length of one complete estrous cycle in days. Physically, if the cycle length L increases, the denominator gets larger, which means the number of annual cycles, N, decreases. The animal will have fewer chances to reproduce each year. Now that we have our frequency formula, let us apply it to a real-world agricultural scenario. A dairy farmer is managing a herd and knows that a healthy cow has an average estrous cycle length of exactly 21 days. The farmer needs to know the maximum number of cycles a cow will experience in a year to optimize artificial insemination. We are given L equals 21. We substitute this into our formula, dividing 365 by 21. The math gives us approximately 17.38. Physically, this means the cow experiences exactly 17 distinct short windows of heat in a year. Missing just one window costs the farmer 21 days of lost time. So, we have seen how both the menstrual and estrous cycles operate on the outside, but what is controlling them on the inside? Imagine a grand symphony orchestra where every single musician must play their instrument at the exact right millisecond. If the violins play too early, the song is ruined. In the female reproductive system, hormones are the musicians, and the brain acts as the master conductor. Both cycles are controlled by the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, or HPG axis. This is a complex communication network between the brain and the reproductive organs that ensures every biological event happens in perfect synchronization. Let us look closer at how this biological orchestra actually communicates. The process starts in the brain, where the hypothalamus releases gonadotropin-releasing hormone. This signal tells the pituitary gland to release follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone into the blood. These travel to the ovaries to stimulate egg growth and trigger ovulation. In response, the ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone, which prepare the uterus for pregnancy. Crucially, these ovarian hormones send a negative feedback signal back to the brain, telling it to stop producing more stimulating hormones. This delicate feedback loop ensures that only one egg is usually released at a time. To truly grasp this feedback loop, let us visualize these chemical signals over a standard 28-day cycle. On the horizontal axis, we have the days of the cycle, and on the vertical axis, the hormone concentration. Notice the green curve representing estrogen. It rises steadily as the egg matures in the first half of the cycle. This rising estrogen triggers the massive red spike you see exactly at day 14. This is the luteinizing hormone surge that causes ovulation. After day 14, look at the purple curve. Progesterone rises dramatically during the luteal phase to prepare the uterine lining. If pregnancy does not occur, all hormone levels crash back down near day 28, resetting the entire biological clock. Now that we have visualized the hormonal feedback loop, we can understand how modern medicine manipulates it. Grasping this axis is the absolute key to reproductive medical interventions. For example, birth control pills work by artificially keeping estrogen and progesterone levels high. This tricks the brain into thinking the body is already pregnant, which completely halts ovulation. On the other hand, fertility treatments do the exact opposite. Doctors pump the body with stimulating hormones to force the ovaries to mature multiple eggs at once. Without a deep understanding of this hormonal axis, modern family planning and advanced agricultural breeding simply would not exist. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us summarize the most important ideas. First, remember that the menstrual cycle involves the shedding of the uterine lining and allows for continuous sexual receptivity. Second, the estrous cycle involves the reabsorption of the lining and restricts mating to specific heat periods. Finally, despite these differences, both cycles are beautifully orchestrated by the exact same set of hormones working in a precise feedback loop. By mastering these concepts, you now understand the fundamental biological clocks that drive mammalian reproduction, giving us profound control over human health and global agriculture. Great job today.